Thank y'all so much for being here. We are super, super excited because what we're offering right now, this is what I love about what's going on right now, is that there are some masters of group fitness and individual training and management in this room right now, and certainly watching here, live streaming. And the reason that is, and there's also like the beginning phase, right? The beginners. And the reason that is because we have someone here who is committed to supporting that generation of individuals who are like really changing the game right now, and also is on this mission to really bring up like the small guy, the person who's just beginning, who doesn't know where to start. And that's what I'm really excited about for today, is that Shaun T is about to come drop some knowledge that is going to support you wherever you are in your journey. Like, he's got such a ridiculous story and he's such a powerful individual. And the crazy part is this all started with a DM, right? We just started chatting and I said, there's something magical going on with this incredible human being named Alexandra Benetti. She started this thing called Talent Hack, and it is literally changing the game. And if you're in this room, you probably feel the same way, because what is happening here is remarkable. There is a wild shift happening in the fitness space where incredible community and connection is being built far beyond what we ever could have imagined it happening. And like, even with viruses going around, there's still so much love happening. You know what I'm saying? So I am honored to introduce these two individuals to you, but more so, I'm so excited for what's about to be given to us, right? This opportunity to learn and grow from somebody who has done just about everything we could imagine doing in this space. So couldn't be more excited. I just want to put it out there right now, a strong request from a dad of two little guys who is asking that no pictures and no handshakes, only out of respect for what's going on right now. We're gonna stay away from that. No pictures and high five. No one-on-one photos. We can do photos. Oh yeah, take all the photos you want. I'm sorry, you're not gonna get virus from taking photos. No one-on-one photos with him, and no hugs. And I hope y'all can understand that. And like, I couldn't even hug him. I want to hug you, man. I can't even hug him. So without further ado, I want to introduce Alexandra Benetti and Shaun T. Come on up, guys.
What's up, everybody? First, before she gets started, because she is going to go there. Two things. You want to know so crazy? I just realized I get so many calls about job opportunities, like really cool fitness professional job opportunities. So last night, I got a text message from a really good friend that they're looking for a group fitness studio manager in Scottsdale. So if you're interested, before we leave, let me know. I have the email of the person. I know the business. I
feel like if there's a time to think about relocating, it's
if you want to relocate, I live
time.
20 minutes from there, so I can give you some tips every day. So
where to get
just
coffee.
In case you were looking for a job, I have one for you before you leave here.
Well, you're hired.
Thank you.
For Talent Hack, that's it. Our number one recruiter, guys. I want to introduce you to.
I have it for you.
I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you so much for coming here. We have a big audience, not just here physically. We literally thought two of you would show up. I don't know if you saw when you got here, we had removed all of the chairs because we were like, no one's coming today. People are freaking out. And then so many of you came. So thank you for coming and not touching each other.
And normally I would take photos and I would hug you and kiss you and the whole nine. For those of you who know me that are here, but
I feel like this is a time where like I actually want tourists to come to New York because people are so respectful. Like I feel like I'm in Japan right now. Everyone's like moving away from each other. The subway is like so nice. No one's pushing you in the subway. I'm like, this is the time to visit New York.
They're cleaning the subway.
Yeah, everything's clean, like really clean. Like this is New York at its best during coronavirus. It feels like. But anyway, we have a lot of Fit Pros watching, and I first wanted to ask you, are you a Fit Pro?
Absolutely. I've been a Fit Pro since I was 19 years old. So 23 years, 22 and a half years. Do you want my definition of a Fit Pro?
I would love that.
Okay.
Yes.
So fitness professionals are, and a lot of you know this, who definitely, if you personal trained or you talk to people after your classes, you are mental and physical fitness trainers. I think that the one thing that fitness professionals need to know that from the foundation of who they are whether they like it or not, you're going to become a therapist. And over the years, it will grow. And fitness professionals are also the most patient people in the world. And fitness professionals are also more important than doctors before people go to the doctor. And so I do all of that every single day, and I love it.
What do you think is the value or the role that fit pros play in our industry, in the fitness and wellness industry?
What's very interesting is when I used to have infomercials on television, before the ad space happened on social media, I would stop people from eating their chips at night, right? And so I think that our people just seeing you walking down the street, they're looking into your studio. They see you with your backpack on, just your physique in general, the way you walk. You inspire people without even saying a word. Like, I want you to think about that for a second. Everyone on your way here, you didn't see it, but the person behind you was extremely motivated and inspired because of the way you walk and the way you carry yourself. And the way you think is the way you act, and the way you think is the way you walk. And just the foundation of who you are when you wake up every day in terms of what it is that you're going to do, which is inspire and enhance people's lives, it shows without you even saying a word.
We're going to dive way deep into that concept. But before we go into that, I wanted to ask you, you're very open about your childhood, which definitely wasn't easy at all. And I think if I definitely know your story, and I think if people who followed you know your story, but for those who don't, I want to acknowledge the fact that it wasn't easy, because I think when you see someone successful and just so in tune and authentic, with who they are, you assume that it must have been easy to get there. And so just in a few sentences, what was it like growing up for Shaun?
Yeah. Oh, thank you. You even used the name. So I'm not going to go too far into this. However, like everyone else, I always say this, and I say this in my book, everyone's in the closet about something. And I actually interviewed Robin Roberts this morning, if you're familiar with her, this amazing woman. The name of her book is Everybody's Got Something. And so in just a few short words, I was sexually abused from the time I was 8 till I was 12. Like a lot of people, my family was on government assistance to the point where we would go outside in the morning, my mom's car wouldn't even start. And we were like, are we even going to get to school? What are we going to eat? The only thing we had in the house was cheese. So, and a lot of times in my childhood, I spent alone in the closet, not necessarily as a hiding from the fact that I was gay, but I literally hid in the closet. And I don't know how many people are of the age where they remember the little game Light Bright, but anybody remember Light Bright? Yes. Okay, thanks. So Light Bright and Light Bright and My Buddy were my best friends. And so that just kind of gives you a little idea. My child has spent a lot in the dark with a small amount of light and something that didn't even respond to me when I spoke to it. So while I never want anyone to go through something like that, it is the definition of from your struggles comes your biggest strengths. And while it was extremely tough, it was crazy to the point where I had to devise a plan to move out of my house at 14 years old. And I made it, and I decided to get out of a toxic environment, even though the struggle was extremely tough and real. All of that, I'm inspired by little Shaun to this day. And I know we might talk about this later, but a lot of people are afraid to visit their past. A lot of your clients or you are afraid to look back at that person that lost 100 pounds. And for me, I'm always like, yo, Shaun, thank you. I still talk to them. People think it's weird. When I tell people I talk to my past self, they're like, what? That's weird. And I'm like, good. Like, I'm going to be weird, and I don't care, because that's the strongest person I know. Just like the client that lost 50, 60, 70 pounds, the person who started on day one is way stronger than the person today. Physically, it's one thing. When we go to a dumbbell now, we do, reciprocating curls, or if we use bands, like Andy was my band guy in T25. If we use bands, like we go into it and we're like, I got this. But imagine the person who steps into the gym the first time and they have zero confidence. They can't even trust their coordination, right? Like these, or whatever you've went through, or whatever you're in the closet about, if you will, it's the strongest person you'll ever know, because you're constantly pushing forward. And so that's what I took away from my childhood, if you will.
Is that sense of kind of fighting, you know, you're almost like the anti-martyr, like if things didn't happen to you, just grab them and you use them as fuel. Is that, do you think, your DNA, or is that something that people can practice being more that way?
It's really awareness, because self-awareness. Because what a lot of people do is when they go through something, they try to bottle it down. Just like in relationships, I'm sure a lot of people in relationships, they have something they want to say to their spouse, but they're like, I'm not going to say it. 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 And then the intimacy stops, and then the communication stops. And then all of a sudden, one day there's this crazy blow up from something that you didn't acknowledge before. And so for me, it's about constantly being aware and speaking to yourself. And just to go a little bit further, and this is not necessarily about coming out, but it is my story in terms of, for me, the first person I came out to was myself. And so you asked, was it a part of my DNA? I think that growing up as a gay guy, you know, I was a gay guy that played football, that was, you know, and I'm not bragging, but in basketball, I scored 26 points a game. I was the anchor leg in my 4x400 meter track. You know, I was state champion. Like all of this stuff, but still being in the closet, I had to actually sit on my bed one day, the edge of my bed, and I was like, you have to accept the fact that you're gay. And then I walked to the bathroom, and the first person I told I was gay was myself. I mean, I looked in the mirror, I was like, you're gay. You're gay. You're gay. No, like, you're really gay. And so I know it sounds crazy, but that's how really through that struggle, I was able to, for me, it's so not easy. It's not always easy. I'm not going to say that everything is easy, or talking to my husband about something that's really tough is easy. I'm not saying it's easy. What I do is connect to the tougher things that happen in life. And so it becomes easier because I was aware and because I practiced it.
And I think maybe even verbalized it. Like I heard recently, anything that you can say, you can work through. Mm-hmm. And so I think what you're saying is whatever your thing is, whatever your journey is, whatever your story is, saying it maybe to yourself first is kind of the first step to self-awareness.
Yeah, because it's really easy to hide.
Yeah.
It's easy to do that. Believe it or not, it's very easy. But showing who you really are is the tougher part. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, we were just kind of having a conversation about social media. And some people think like you or whomever else, they see somebody with 1 million followers and they're like, oh my gosh, that's so great. But like, if I pull out my phone right now, and if you see how many people unfollowed me in the last 7 days, like if I get 3,000 people that follow me, at least 12 to 1,500 unfollow me. But for me being 100% authentic to who I am. So I'm like, cool, like, bye. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good. And it's not even because my account or my social media continues to grow. I'm more happy with the fact that I continue to be who I am authentically. Here, I mean, I'm talking about something serious here, but if you wanted to cut up, I would. I'm the same here as I am at home with my kids. If I'm
the exact same.
At the club, I don't go to the club, but anymore.
When you went. I want to ask you more about that, but I'll table it for a second because I want to understand, how did you come into fitness? So I know you were a choreographer, you know, like what's that story like?
So this is probably gonna be the longest I talk at one point, but it's important for me because I believe that a lot of people see the insanity Shaun T and they think, oh, he got this deal with Beachbody and like he was on TV and he had this, you know, multi-billion-dollar company behind him. And that did happen, but that's the tip of the iceberg. So before I begin, I want you to even think about your life and more important right now, your profession, but more importantly, your life. We're all like icebergs. People only see 10% of who you really are, maybe. The other 90% is under the water. Like, think about your life. If I asked people who just generally see you when they walk into your studio or wherever you work, they're going to be like, oh, this person, yeah, he or she is really nice and this and that. And you could probably say you don't even know the half of it, right? And I believe anyone in here can say that. So my fitness journey, number one, it started out with me looking in the mirror when I was a sophomore in college and realizing I gained 50 pounds. And I hated the way I looked. And
just from like eating unhealthy or what?
Yeah, so we talked before how...
So I'm gonna have so many questions.
Get specific.
I don't know this story, so I'm just like sitting here watching a movie.
I tell you, so here's the thing, everyone, and I'm just gonna be very transparent here. It's hard for me to tell these stories because I'm like, I hope they're not bored, because I've heard myself tell the story a lot, but a lot of people don't. So I'm just gonna go there, and if I'm talking too long, just raise your hand, and I'll continue to talk. But so I'm gonna start there. So when I got a scholarship to college, I got a scholarship for track and field and academics. I asked my mom, which one should I do? She said, do academics, because if you hurt yourself, you'll still be able to run later and you won't lose your scholarship. Cool. So that, on top of the fact that you go to college and you have a food card, and I'm not on food stamps anymore. So I'm like, I got a food card. I can eat whatever I want. I can get Domino's at 12 at night. You know what I mean? I was like going in, literally going in. It was going in. And simultaneously, though, I'm starting to become one with my sexuality, right? The more I eat, the less I think that girls are going to be attracted to me. They still were, though. I'm just saying. Oh, I licked the mic. Don't worry. Keep your tongue in your mouth. So that's I'm telling you the whole story. So anyway, so that's how, for me, that is the beginning of how I started to gain the weight, right? She's shaking her head. She's like, you crazy. Yes, I am. So, but then, I woke up that one day and I was like, what? I went from a 178 pound, 400 meter anchor leg that was running a 48, 400 to 228 pounds of just not being happy with who I was. So that same day, I walked out of my residence hall. I was an RA at the time, actually, and I went to the rec center and I got on the treadmill and I ran for 10 minutes. But at 7 minutes, I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna die. So I only ran, I think I did that for 2 weeks. I only ran 10 minutes a day. And then I started to conjure up the confidence to walk into the weight room. I remember the first day I went to the weight room, the door was there and I stepped and I was like, no, I'm not going in there. Yeah, I was so uncomfortable, which is so weird because I had done sports since I was 6 years old, but I was still going through this process of like seeing who I was, believing with who I was. Anyway, cut to, I started working out more and then I ended up changing my major from communications to sports science. I wanted to be like Anderson Cooper when I went to school. But I changed my major, and so the first thing I heard in one of my very first classes was that you have to be able to teach group fitness. And I was like, okay. At the same time, there was in one of my residence halls, there was they did a resident, just kind of like a program where it was the grind workout. I don't know if anybody remembers the grind workout. It was the MTV grind workout with Eric Nies. It was like it was a cast of The Real World. And I thought Eric Nies was hot. I was like, I'm doing this, whatever. So anyway, I stole his choreography and I went to the director of
his workout.
Yeah, his workout. But I actually went to the director of the fitness center, the rec center, and I said, I want to teach a class. She was like, what do you want to teach? I was like, I want to teach a hip hop class. She was like, have you ever taught before? I was like, no. But like, I was like, but I can dance. Like literally like that. And she was like,
do you know her?
I didn't know her.
You just came up, you just like flat out came up.
I just walked into the rec center and I was like,
excuse me, ma'am. I want to teach a class.
I was like, I want to teach a class. And so she was like, but in college, they really support students. Like our school was really great. So she was like, okay. She was like, okay, well, we can do that or whatever. She's like, we'll set aside a time. But I was involved in like a lot of building programs and like school programs. So I literally went around to people. I was like, I'm teaching a class at the rec center. I'm teaching a class at the rec center. I mean, imagine 19-year-old me was a lot. But so I'm thinking, I'm thinking
going around being like, I'm teaching a class this Saturday at 10.
Yeah, I would go to all like the frat parties and the sororities, and I would tell everybody. And I was always in the middle of the circle in the dance, whatever, at a party anyway. So I was just like, I can dance. I had zero fear because I was just like, you're young. So I was just like, all right, we just gonna come in the room and dance. But I had stole this choreography from the grind workout. Anyway, so I show up at the rec center and I'm standing in the room. I'm like so excited. No. I show up at the rec center and I'm standing outside and I see a couple people, just kind of going in, and I go in and Tina comes up to me because it is packed. It is like tons of people. And she was like, there are 90 people here. She's like, the class only holds 60. You have to do 2 classes back to back. And I was like, right? I didn't plan to do 2 classes back to back. But the first time I ever taught a dance class, I had to teach 2 classes back to back. And it was so crazy. It was super fun. I still remember the choreography. Only like the first 2 8 counts. But it was like, I was like 5, 6, 7. It was like a walk up. And you're the funny place. Something like that, right? I still remember. Hey, thank you for my applause. I'm just kidding. Anyway, that story is important because after that, I really got into fitness. I really saw how people enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. It made me feel really good. And then from there, obviously I got my degree, but I got certified in AFA, ACE.
Wait,
I don't know about ACE at the time.
But before we go into
that,
were you teaching multiple classes after that? Like you started teaching classes?
The minute I had that class, she immediately was like, you have to get certified if you want to get on a schedule.
Got it.
So, I got certified. I started teaching. I got certified in a bunch of stuff, but then I got Johnny G spinning, Thomas the Promise kickboxing. I was AFA certified, taught step class, made up classes like boot camp and such. Then I ended up working at the front desk, and then I started working in the weight room. I started building programs. And then from that,
this is from like sophomore to senior year.
Yeah. This is all happening from sophomore to senior year. But what happened in that next year, because my dance class was super popular, that class it was always packed. It was always about 60 people in that class. But from there, the dance department at the school said, hey, you should come minor in dance. So of course I get a minor in dance, and then I start choreographing.
Sorry.
Okay, I know I'm talking
because that
fast,
doesn't happen. It's not like the department comes to you and asks you to minor, and that's not.
No, it does happen. You want to know
to
why?
you?
But because
how does this shit happen?
Because my choreography was lit, yo.
Yeah,
no, I'm
so
kidding.
Really,
so what happened was some of the
people were talking about you.
Some of the people in the dance department, the dancers that were majoring in dance, would come to my class because they didn't have a hip hop class.
Got it.
So then they came and said, do you want to minor in dance? So then I became a part of the spring dance concert, which then a lot of people in the community where I lived or where my school was, the dance studios in the community came and they watched that show every year, and they would get teachers from the choreographers. So then I started teaching dance in all these different dance studios in the community. So from the time I was a sophomore to the time I was a senior, I was teaching all kinds of fitness classes, and I was teaching about, the most I think I was teaching was 21 classes a week, just between, on top of, my studies. And my mom she was like, you're graduated with honors. So it was just all that. And then I started running track again, but that's a whole nother thing. The reason why it's important is because also within that time, I started to go to fitness conventions. And when I would go to the fitness conventions, this is before social media, this is before MySpace, this is before any of that. I don't even think I knew what a text message was. I would go to the fitness conventions, and I would take 6 or 7 classes every single day that I was there. I would go to all the workshops, and I started doing that twice a year because it was a fitness convention in Miami and it was one in New York. I'm not sure if you guys were familiar with ECA World Fitness, but that was what the fitness convention that I started with. And then what would happen was, because I took these classes religiously, the presenters, people like Patrick Addo, Calvin Wiley, Patricia Moreno, Milo, who did Hip Hop Body Shop. I'm saying all these names. Angie Bunch, who did Culture Shock Hip Hop, people from Europe, Robert Steinbacher, who did body art training. So it was like all of these people, I would be
the OGs.
The OGs. So I would be taking their classes. And from there, they would then say, they would see me in their classes all the time, and they would, you perform a dance, or you perform the choreography, or they ask you questions, to the point where I actually went to ECA, the head of ECA, and I asked her, Carol Scott, I said if I could be a presenter there. And she said yes. So then I started being a presenter at ECA.
When is this? This is after college?
Yeah, this is probably like a year or so after college. I don't know. I'm getting old. I can't remember. But this has all happened. So I just want to say, so then I started presenting. Then when I started presenting, I was still presenting, but still taking other people's classes. While I was taking I think it was when I was taking a culture shock hip hop class. I was just taking class in the back, and there was a guy who was there at the convention, and he was trying to bring someone from the States over to Istanbul, Turkey, to open up a new gym and help build the programming for group exercise and personal training. So I got this man hired me. The company hired me from just me dancing in the back of the room and being in all of the classes. I went to Istanbul and I helped open up a new gym. They didn't even know English, and I had to teach them how to build programming, how to build their group fitness. And I would do big. I went twice to 2 different ones. So from there, in addition to that, I worked in corporate health. So I worked at a pharmaceutical company and a nuclear power plant. I was making $22,000 a year. And I was making I think ECA gave me $300 for a class, But
wow.
So yeah, so I was doing all that. Anyway, the Istanbul
thing.
5
years in. 5 years
three,
in.
I would say 5 years in, yes.
Yeah. What were you making when you first started out? When
I was teaching class, I think I was making $12 an hour. But then once I had all these classes in the community, I was I'm charging $50. I was just oh my gosh, it's so ridiculous.
So in these first 5 years, where you go from
which $50 is good. I would still teach for $50.
Yeah,
I love it. Yes, I would. I'll teach you for $50.
You're going from $12 an hour.
I'm going, yeah.
From $12 an hour to almost $300 an hour. It's such a good story, but what is there's so much work that's going into this, right? You're studying left and right, you're putting workouts together left and right, you're putting choreographies together, you're showing up to every event possible and putting yourself in the room. It doesn't matter if you're in the back of the room as a participant or in the front of the room. All of that's a ton of work in 5 years. What is driving you to show up every day?
Well, there's a lot of things that are driving me. I mean, I could go super in my past on how I learned this, but I think when your passion meets your purpose is something I read before. My passion met my purpose in life, seriously, was to laugh and have fun. If you hang out with me, I love to have a good time. I love it. I think if I can laugh as much as possible, then I'm enjoying my life. And so my purpose, my passion was to help people and inspire people. And unknowingly at a young age, I was actually in a subconscious way still trying to run away from my childhood. I was trying to find a place. I was on depression medication. Yeah. And then I would go to class. I would go to teach my class and I would feel much better. And the reason I stopped taking depression medication is because I realized that I just had to constantly change my environment. So my whole life was constant work. And I don't want to sound negative. It was tough, but I still found ways to smile and laugh and have a good time. And I refuse to do anything if I'm not having fun. And Alex is here. She's been working with me for 8 years. I still don't do anything for money. I don't do it for money. I'm is it going to serve the people? Is it going to serve my mission? If so, that's why someone was you wouldn't work for $50. I literally, I had something the other week and I was I will absolutely do this for 50% less than what I do it, because I think the impact is going to be major, right? So there are things like that. But talking about the work, just getting back to the work, for me, if I can find a purpose behind what I'm doing, it doesn't feel like work. Yes, it's exhausting. I'm not saying that, but it doesn't feel like work. But you want to say something?
But do you remember, that connection or that realization of this is my purpose? This is, this is really fulfilling. Did you have that moment or throughout the years you were just no, this is what I really love? Yeah.
So part was when I was saying about the depression medication. I was in a really abusive relationship. I still have the scars on my body. It was horrible. And I thought that I was depressed and I was in this state when I really need to change my environment. That's one. And then this is when I realized that fitness and music and being in a group exercise room, motivating people was my purpose. So, and I'm not saying this because the coronavirus is here, but I literally had the flu one day. I was in college. I had the flu. I remember this day, and my friend came over and she was here's the music for our class. We taught together. And I was like, just miserable. I was literally in the flu. And I was I'm like, why is she even here telling me about this stupid music? So she turns on the music and I'm listening to it. And it got to one music where I knew in the class how we were going to like the choreography change and I jumped up. I didn't have the flu for like a minute and a half. Because I was like, oh my gosh. I like ran down the hallway. I was like, oh my God, I didn't say the word sick because the word sick wasn't in there. And I was like, oh my God, that's so amazing or something. But I just remember jumping up and she left and I got sick again. I was like, oh my God, I shouldn't have did that. But I realized that moment of getting that excited, like I literally forgot when I was in the depths of feeling horrible. I was like, I want to do this forever. I was like, I really, really, really want to do this forever in some kind of way.
Are there days when you're ever like, or throughout your journey, like, I don't want to do this? Have there ever been moments that you like doubt this career?
Yes, there are plenty of times where I doubt what I'm doing. And most of the time it has to deal with people, not with what I'm doing. It has to deal with relationships and how people, when you get into the contract stage and people on the outside look at you as a product rather than a person that's going to inspire and motivate people and help lift you up. When there's a contract in play, and I realized I had to, I have someone that does that now. I'm not involved in the conversation anymore because it would literally destroy. Because for me, like I said, I want to, not that I can't not have a good time or I can't be serious. Of course I can. But my struggle has never been with fitness. My struggle has never been with motivation. My struggle has never been with anything that has to deal with, mental fitness or physical fitness. It's always been with, I feel like, either trying to be taken advantage of or somebody like just not respecting me as a human being, or even times where I have people in my workouts and they're trying to pay them nothing. Because I take all of that on. So if you ever did something with me, I act as your agent too. Because I'm like, no, they're not showing up for that. And that's the hardest part for me.
Where and when do you draw that line? I feel like a lot of people, depending on where they are in their careers, you feel like you just have to say yes to everything. And one of your mottos is get outside of your comfort zone, right? Like push yourself to be uncomfortable. At what point is uncomfortable too far? Like when are you giving too much of yourself? Is it a point of your career or does it start really early on? Yeah,
so if you can't show up and be your whole self, it's not for you. Like you just have to think about that. If you can't be your whole self in the space, and that's not to say you don't sometimes have to work through things with people, but if you literally can't, if I can't show up and be Shaun, forget the T. I actually didn't do that on purpose. But forget the T, I'm Shaun Blocker all the time. I'll tell you how Shaun T came into play because I know you want to know. So Shaun T, this is ridiculous. So my last name was born Thompson. I never met my father. He was adopted. So like I have no idea who my family is really. So Shaun Thompson was my name. But I was in a singing group in high school called Creative Nature. And we had to come up with names. And so my singing group is like Shaun T. So we walked down the hallway, and from high school I've been Shaun T. I just never dropped it. It just sounded so dope, So that's how I'm Shaun T. But Shaun, back to what I was saying. Shaun has to be there. If Shaun's not there, it's not happening. Yeah. From the core of who I am, I have to show up my whole self. You have to show up your entire self or it's not worth it.
I just want to make sure that you, I want to understand, because you just sound like this ball of wisdom. Do you know this now retrospectively, or throughout your career, did you always know?
I think intuition, I think you always know. You might not know where to place it, but it's happening. I think that you have to really constantly assess what it is that you're going through and not just throw it away, right? It's okay to finish a meeting or whatever it is that you do and really take a moment to have like some self-reflection and say, is this for me? And be okay with saying no, because no means yes a lot of times. Saying no to something that doesn't serve you or serve the people that you want to serve is saying yes to this amazing thing that's waiting in the wings. And most of the time, I will promise you, the minute you say no to one thing that's not letting you show up your whole self, yes is going to happen as soon as you turn your back to that. Trust and believe. Trust and believe. That's why I have it on my arms. And I know you, so here's the thing, and I'm going to say, I wanted to say this in the very beginning. I didn't come up here to motivate you at all. Like, I'm not trying to sound motivation. This is exactly who I am. This is what I believe. This is how I get through things. Even, you can ask Alex. Where's Alex? Somewhere back here. Hey, Alex. I had a meeting with her and Scott, not long ago. And sometimes I get so overwhelmed. I'm like, should I even be doing this? Because I'm so passionate about what I do. Yeah. And they're like, Shaun, calm down. Yes, you should be doing this. I get overwhelmed too, but this is how I feel. I'm so excited.
Sorry, I took you on a huge
No,
tangent.
I know, it's fine.
You were in Turkey.
Oh. What do you want to know about Turkey? My first Turkish bath was
how did it go?
amazing.
How did you go from?
It was I got to tell them about this because we have to have some fun too. Yo, so y'all know I'm gay, right? So check this out. So in Turkey, they have this Turkish bath, right? And so you go into this room, and there's this guy standing there. And he's like, "Take off your robe," and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is so awkward." And he's like, "Lay on this thing, this." What is it? Granite thing. And then all of a sudden, pours this water on you, and you're like, the suds,
that too. And you're like, what?
But what do you want to know about Turkey? Because that's a whole.
No, okay. Thing. So you were at ECA, Carol Scott thing, and this guy comes up to you and you go program. Yeah. Mm-hmm. How do you get from the conference circuit, teaching all these classes, attending all these classes, to insanity?
Oh, I told you I knew I was going to go somewhere else. So I went to Turkey twice. Went, did some stuff, came back, went again, did some more stuff. But when I came back and I was, this is just so crazy. But I have to go to, when I decided I was going to move to LA, which was off of a crazy whim. I don't have time for that story because that's going to be a long time. But I went to LA to just take dance classes and visit a friend. I decided to take a dance class that was actually an audition for an agency, but I just walked in there because I was like, all right, this is free. I'm going to take the class. And it was 200 people there, and they kept I'd never been to an audition.
You wanted to get a workout in.
Yeah, I was just I just wanted to dance. It was a choreography. I was I want to dance. And they were kicking people out. And I was they were like, you stay. I was like, okay. And then we would dance. Then we had to do the routine again. And they were kicking people out. And they were like, you stay. I'm like, bye. But the thing is, all of these people were they were dressed. They had the guys had hats on, the girls had makeup on. I'm from Jersey. I had a hole in my New Balance. They were black New Balance. They were old because they were the only shoes I could afford to dance in. I had some capri, some camouflage type capri pants, and a sweated out white wife beater. And everyone was looking good, and they kept cutting people, and they're like, you stay. I'm like, okay. So it got down to it was 6 or 7 guys left. And they were like, we'll call you in 2 weeks if we want you to come, dance for us. And I'm like, okay, bye. I put my number down. I was home 2 weeks later. I was at the laundromat with my quarters. And I got this call from Los Angeles. And I was like, who's this? And they were like, this is Clear Talent Group. We want you to dance for us. And I was like, I totally forgot about it. And I called my mom literally right off I got off the phone. I was like, Mom, I have to quit my job. I have to do all this stuff. And she was like, listen, if you don't do it, you'll regret. She was like, just go out there and try it. If it doesn't work, she was like, but with you, I know it's going to work, whatever. So I left my job in corporate health 2 months later. And so when I was moving to LA, I contacted Carol Scott from ECA. And I was like, hey, I'm going out to LA. Is there anywhere I can teach? She contacted Equinox in West Hollywood. And right away, not only did she get me a job there, I got paid really well. I immediately started with 10 classes on the schedule simply because of ECA and my work ethic that she saw me in classrooms. And then she hired me.
It's way more than just ECA. I mean,
right, but I'm saying, I'm saying it comes from my work ethic from before, But I'm just saying,
your building that relationship with Carol.
But my relationship, not from asking, my relationship for showing what I can do. There's a difference than being like, hey, can you give me this? And then she never had to say, well, what do you teach? Or what's your style like? Or what's your work ethic like? She never had to say that. She immediately contacted me to Keith Irace, who was at the time, I don't even know where he is now, but immediately at the time. And then, so you see what I'm saying? Like
100%.
I left out that step. She didn't say, oh, let me check. She's like, I think so. So anyway, so I moved to LA, did that. I did some professional dancing. I was dancing. I worked for Kathy Smith. I don't know, anybody familiar with Kathy Smith? She's a legend.
Wait, sorry, I have a question.
Okay.
Do you think that if Carol knew about you,
if who?
If Carol Scott knew about you, but she didn't know you personally, do you think that would have happened? Or is it a combination of both? Like being really good at what you do, showing up, but also creating that relationship?
I think that she would have said, oh, you've been to ECA? Okay. You can go audition at Equinox, right? And then I would have had to set up a meeting and probably chase this person down and be like, can I teach a class? And then he would have had to take a couple weeks to find a spot for me. And then, of course, I would have slayed the game. However, I'm just saying, I wouldn't have given up.
Well, part of you slaying the game is having had that relationship, right? So we talked a little bit about networking and that word, love-hate relationship with it. But because it really boils down to building relationships, but it's so much more than that.
Right. It comes down to you knowing what you have to offer and being steadfast and abundant and clear in what it is.
Yeah. It's not just being nice.
And taking action. It does have things to be doing. It has something to do with be nice, but you can be nice.
Yeah.
But if you're not practicing your craft, then it's, So I just want to finish this because I finally get to the insanity. So yeah, I was working at Equinox, teaching my classes. There was a Equinox sales, how they have the sales, I don't know what they call them, and I don't want to disrespect people. The sales people at Equinox, they walk you around and they're like, membership advisor. See, I wanted to make sure. So there was a membership advisor who was like super cool, and he was like, oh, you teach class? My friend Kathy Smith needs someone to help her develop programming. He was like, do you want to go meet her? I was like, yes. I show up. This is a whole nother story. I'm not going to make it funny. So I show up to her house. I actually had to audition for her. And then so I helped her develop this program called Project U. And for 2 months straight, I would teach a class at 7 a.m. and then 5 p.m. And it was my first experience doing like a test group where a company was like, you see the infomercials, the before and after. We all do it now too, but you see the before and after and you're taking these people on this journey. You see how they're eating. And not only did I have to help develop the classes, but I helped develop the workouts. So that was also my first time developing workouts that were going to be on DVD. So she also casted me in the DVDs. So I woke up the morning to shoot her DVDs and I had strep throat. I could not do it. So they had to find somebody last minute. So I never got to shoot. But I did help shoot the infomercial. And so there were Beachbody. It was Beachbody that was shooting an infomercial. Doing this, I had no idea about Beachbody. I knew that we were doing food and before and afters. I didn't know what Beachbody was. I had no clue until the infomercial. I was like, oh, this is like something on TV. I was like, whatever. Still went back to teaching at Equinox and dancing. I was professionally dancing, all that too. And one day I was just teaching a class and these two producers came in, they took my class. And then a week later, my friend who was a trainer at Equinox said, hey, this woman that came to your class, she wants you to call her. So she called me or I called her and she said, we want you to come into the office to see if, we think you'd be great for developing one of our programs. So the first program I went in and developed was hip hop abs. Tilt, tuck, tight, and breathe. From the time I'm done, that's all you'll need. Get hip hop abs all day long, right? So that's a whole thing. My stories are so long, but the point I'm saying is, to get into to get into Beachbody, to prepare for that audition, I called my friends to my garage. I took my sliding mirrors off of my mirror in my bedroom, put them in the garage, and I practiced in my garage the thing that I was going to present, the choreography and workout that I was going to present to Beachbody. So here's where it became interesting though. I show up with my friends and they were like, here's a camera, you have to be yourself. So I'm sitting up there saying like, why would they have to, I literally was like, why would you have to tell somebody to be yourself? Like I really didn't understand. I was like, I'm looking at her like, okay, like, fuck else you want me to be, right? So then you're laughing, I'm serious. I was looking at her like, I'm surprised she wasn't like, why are you looking at me like that? But, so I did it. And she was like, have you ever been on camera before? I was like, no. I was like, it was group exercise. It was group exercise and always presenting in front of real people and attaching to what people needed and showing up to my class and having it and never be about me, right? So then I was able to look at the camera. She was like, well, how do you do that? I was like, well, the camera's a person that needs some motivation. So I was like, I'm just talking to them like they're a person. And before I even left the office, I had my contract in my hand. Wish I had a lawyer at the time, but that's a whole nother thing. But the lawyer there was nice. He was amazing, and I'm still with him. But anyway, so, I'm just business-wise, always have a lawyer. But so my whole thing is I walked away from there with a contract, but like, again, like, you keep asking these questions. You make it sound so like whatever. But the steps that I took to get there was never forced. I want you guys to like sit on that for a second. Are you forcing yourself to be something and do something, not that you're not necessarily ready for, but that doesn't necessarily match with your roadmap? Because sometimes if you skip a step because you want to get and you see where someone else is, you're doing a detriment to yourself, because the step that you skipped could possibly be the road that you thrive in. And while you will continue to move forward, this step that you skipped is a thing where you find your niche, right? So for me, I never went beyond what I wasn't not necessarily ready for, because I would never want to tell someone to give up, but I was always in the pocket. Like I was like, this is what I'm thriving in, and I'm sitting in this for a minute. I'm going to learn as much as I can. So anyway, cut to developed hip hop abs. It'd be after a month and a half, became the #1 infomercial for 8 months, right? Just dancing. And then I did Rock and Body. Rock and Body was my second dance. They were like, oh, this dance program, let's do Rock and Body. Completely tanked. Infomercial tanked. Like, we didn't even get out of the testing phase. Then Insanity. So let me just tell you. Didn't get out of the testing phase. So then I was just still with Beachbody, hip hop abs, still doing it. I was like, whatever, it was cool. And then I went to a meeting and they wanted to create like a really tough workout. And, one of my friends, my producer at the time was like, Shaun can do it. And Carl was like, he's just the dance guy. I was like, does he know who the fuck I am? Like, I taught everything. I've taught everything from kickboxing, spinning, boot camp. Like, I've done it all. And so anyway, he was like, okay, well, if you want to do something with us, if you want to do something in this space, then you show me. So I called on my friends. We went to a dance studio, which is the funny thing. And I created Insanity. And I did one workout. And by the end of the workout, all of my friends were on the floor, except for yours truly. And I sent it to him just like that, though. I didn't edit it so that it was perfect. I sent it to him where all my friends were literally laying on the floor. They were like, this is fucking crazy. And I'm still like, come on, let's go. Boom, boom. And dying. And then literally, I sent it to him the next day after it was like just put together. That afternoon, he called me. He was like, it's yours. And the whole thing was, and then I want to talk about the infomercial. So we do the infomercial, we shoot the workouts, super tough, as everyone knows. Then so I'm gonna talk about the workout. So in the workout, at one point, my director was like, everyone's like off. And she came out, she pushed cut. And I never get mad on set. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? She's like, no one, like, they're not together. I'm like, neither are the people at home. They're not gonna be together. This is hard. Like, I had to like fight to help them understand, like, this is what I want it to be. Because I was sick of people saying, like, you can drink this for 3 days and you can have like the best butt in the world. It was like so annoying.
I mean,
and they were like, what? So then we shoot the infomercial, and then they, so they're asking me questions. So in the infomercial, they ask you questions and they're like, we want to know who can do this. And so the answer they're looking for is like, you can do this. Like everybody can do this. And they were like, so who's this for? I said, it's not for a person who's lazy. It's not for a person who finds excuses. It's only for the person who's ready to take their body to peak physical condition. And that is the line that literally sold it, because I was just like sick of people like thinking they could do something easy. Anyway, so that was, that's how Insanity came about. And that was the #1 infomercial for just about 7 years in a row. Infomercial meaning like makeup. And I'm not like bragging. I'm just saying like that was it. But it was like changing the game but staying, it was who I was. Like it was athletic. The way I created Insanity was I took my very first track and field workout. And I said, if I can make people feel like this at home and they continue, they're going to be so fit, but mentally fit, they're going to think they can do anything. And so my warm-up, my workout is all, entire Insanity is all, before Max 30, is all track and field based movements that I created to try and for people to do it at home. So that was
such an amazing story.
Thank you.
Really, because and even the way that you tell it, I can tell, you're skipping over.
I know
so much work. Like I can just tell that you are such a hard worker. And at Talent Hack, we are constantly speaking to people about their career path, right? Like there's no one way up in this industry, and that can be complicated and frustrating for people trying to map out what's next for them. And so we talk a lot about what should you do next? What's the next step? And I feel like it always just boils down to work hard, show up, learn more.
Right. But here's something else that I want to show you. If you have a pen, like I want you guys to get your pen or paper or your notes in your phone, because everyone thinks that fitness is about fitness. And like they think fitness is about fitness. And that's about mindset. But you as a fitness professional, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not about fitness. Mm-hmm. And you're probably like, what? It's not about fitness. I'm gonna tell you exactly what it's about. And it's about how you connect to yourself to be able to deliver whatever it is that you're gonna deliver. So here's how you do it. 7 quick steps. 1, being able to communicate with yourself. There's no way you're going to be able to effectively and consistently communicate with your clients or a group of people if you aren't able to tell yourself the same thing, or if you don't know what it's like and how they feel going through what it is that you're having them do. So how are you communicating with yourself? Some people are good at writing and journaling. Some people are good at meditating and thinking, and people are really good at speaking. Then there's that part of being honest. Like, am I being honest, and am I being authentic in what it is that I'm doing? If the answer is no, I don't care if it's don't like not pay your bills, but I don't care what it is. If the answer is no and you're not being honest and authentic, you literally need to figure out what it is that's going to get you to that honest and authentic space, because that's going to take you to commitment. Because if you're not honest and authentic in what it is that you're doing, you're never going to be able to fully commit to it. You'll be able to show up every day, but you're not going to be fully committed because you don't believe it. So the third thing is commitment. The fourth thing, most important, is being able to give back to yourself and give to yourself first. You asked me earlier about, how do I get on stage and I'm always able to give? And I said it earlier, because it's never about me. I do all the work that I need to do before I go into either train someone one-on-one or before I go on stage, so that I can go out and be able to serve. But the only reason I'm able to serve is because I'm able to give to myself first. When I have my transformation weekends that I do at my house, and the day before, I go and I have like a 1-day vacation, because you can't give on empty. So and we give as fitness professionals, we're constantly giving. Whether it's showing someone the correct form or sitting down, like someone said for 20 minutes that they're afraid of the coronavirus before you work out, or they have problems with their spouse, whatever it is, you're not going to be able to give if you haven't filled your own cup. being able, okay, so this one's gonna be a little tricky. Being able to let go of the past, let go of the things that are holding you back, but being able to hold on to the things that push you forward. So for me, life is like a relay race. There was 8-year-old Shawnee who passed the baton to 14-year-old Shaun, who passed the baton to 21-year-old Shaun that finally came out, who passed the baton to 28-year-old Shaun that created Hip Hop Abs, who passed the baton to 35-year-old Shaun, who finally accepted that he was molested at 2 a.m. and he had to go to therapy, who's about to pass the baton to 42-year-old Shaun in 2 months, who is just now figuring out like that, how to be a dad, right? I know all of them. I connected the 8-year-old, the 14-year-old, the 20-year-old who came out and had to lose weight, the 28-year-old who stepped in front of the camera, was insecure about, in Hip Hop Abs, I was 28, I had abs, I still thought I was fat, but I was still up there cutting the fuck up, right? Sorry, I curse a lot. We in New York though, and everywhere else. So, right, that passed the baton to the 35-year-old who's, married now and coming into his own and just living, who's passing the baton to 42. So for me, it's always about passing the baton. Now, I know what those struggles did to help me, but I don't hold on to the weight, right? Because the more baggage you have in your life, the harder it is to move forward. This is for you as a fitness professional. Like, listen, y'all, like, do these 7 steps, like one each day. And then when you let go of those things and you hold on to things that made you really strong, then it helps you be you, and you can be original. Because you've had commitment, honesty, you know how to communicate with yourself, you know what you had to let go of, which also helps you know what you're really strong at. Then you can be yourself. You can be as original as possible. One of my favorite memories of how to be myself is I was in 3rd grade and our teacher said, okay, this is so true. It's like, okay, we're gonna make snowflakes today. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. Now, mind you, in 3rd grade, I'm being teased for the fact that I'm gay, right? This is 3rd grade. Kids are horrible. But I knew how to fight, though. Trust and believe. So anyway, that's a whole side note. So the teacher goes, but I just want you to know, no 2 snowflakes are alike. Like, every snowflake is different. And so for me, that was so powerful as a really young kid. I think I was like 9. And being told that even though I was different, like everyone else was different too, it really shaped me, even though I had some tough times along the way, to constantly say, no, be original, be original. When I create a workout, when I created any workout I've ever created, I've never went and say, hey, let's study this workout and let me just tweak it to make it like that, but better. It's always been, I'm going to create this from the ground up. I'm going to call people in that I think are like, I really look up to, or they're really great at what they do, or someone would call it like Andy. He came in Asylum Volume 2 and T25, right? You have to always hire people you look up to. That's one of my main things. So that helps me become who I am and be original and hold on to the things that make you thrive. If you are scrolling through social media and you're trying to look like somebody else, and you are literally taking a roadmap to look like that person, you're becoming less of who you are. That's not to say that I'm not inspired by the way people look or the way people move or the things people are doing, but I can take a piece of that and be like, oh, cool, like that inspires me, but I'm never going to thrive and take a roadmap to become that person, because it might be successful on paper and in paper, but you will feel the void of being who you really are. Then all of that, at the end of the day, just like literally helps you connect to yourself. Ultimately, in order to be able to help people to thrive, it is a constant reflection of how well you connect to yourself, even if you're going through something really tough. And that's why it's important to have those moments, say, oh, okay, I'm going through something tough, because, and I'm gonna talk about fitness for a second. Insanity, all my workouts I've ever done, I do the full program. Most of the time, I do it before I shoot it, pretty much. Well, I definitely do it, not consecutively because I'm making it up. But the way I get my messaging to motivate people is, number one, from stories that I've heard and people that I train. And secondly, I'm doing it, so I know how to talk through it. I know what people are feeling at this very moment. And the reason why I do it is so I can connect to myself at every turn. Like if you connect to yourself at every turn, no matter what it is that you're doing, you actually can literally use that to serve other people. And going back just to one more thing, when we talk about like everyone's in a closet about something or everyone has something, what I want you to do is know what that something is. You don't have to tell someone, but know what that something is. And that helps you also accept what other people are going through. Because instead of being judgmental, I think one of the things in our space is that I don't know how it is much now, but I know that it's like this constant competition. And I'm like, you don't gotta I'm always ready. Like I do Barry's boot camp. I do all kinds of work. I do it. Like I'm not threatened. It has nothing to do with me being threatened. I'm like, if I can help support, number one, first of all, I'm going to constantly educate myself. And I just think it's really great to know that I can vibe with someone, another fitness person. I think it's so cool. Like I don't lift weights all the time. I lift weights sometimes. But in a couple of weeks, I'm going to go do a podcast. I'm not sure if you follow him on Instagram, Primal Swolger, who does like, he's going to fuck me up. But I'm here for it. I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to showcase him on my podcast. And I, JTM Fit, had him on my podcast. I'm like, no, go do his workouts. Like, go do it. I think it's amazing. I think we should constantly support each other. And this is the reason why. Because no one's going to do insanity for the rest. Well, some people do insanity for the rest of their life, this person here. But the 99% of the people aren't going to do insanity all the time. They're going to come to you. I'm like, no, don't do, like, go put yourself outside of your comfort zone. So I think that if we understand as fitness professionals that we have these boutique fun workout studios from Rumble to, what's the Prama? Don't we have one of those here? The one where it's the lights in the boxes is so sick. I know they have it in like Australia and stuff. But when things
we have great things here though.
No, I'm saying
we'll talk about that later.
No. I'm just saying. I'm saying the things that
we have the best workouts in New York. So
I know. I know. I mean, you have Peloton, you have it all. You have everything. We have so many amazing things. And while, yes, we want people to like stay committed, we want to build a community, I think we also need to be very supportive of each other because there's 7 billion people in the world. Like, come on.
And I think it all goes back, and I have a few questions here that I feel like you answered, and it all goes back to authentically, relentlessly just being yourself. And we hear that almost like too often. And I think that for fit pros especially, it's like, the best fit pros are out there are the ones that are the most authentic to themselves, right? Those are the ones that you really connect with. But being yourself, it sounds so obvious. Like when someone told you just be yourself and you're like, yeah, but it's really not. And it's a hard practice. And I think that the 7 points that you read right now are a practice. It's not just like you check them off the list one week and then you're like, okay, cool, I know myself, right? Because you're always going through that journey, and you have a pretty impressive self-awareness, I think, that makes you so authentic, and you are so you. Like you're you here, you're you on Instagram, you're the same person everywhere you look, which is so
thank you
rare but powerful. So this idea of being yourself, and you said, it's not about you when you're teaching, and it's not about you. It is you, though, right? Like it's not about you, but you are giving you 100%. And so when you are so authentic, how do you know what to bring into the classroom, what to bring into the session, what to bring into the conversation about you? And what do you leave off of that stage? And I think you have a specific story when you were filming Insanity, that you were going through a very hard moment. And how, were you inauthentic in that moment, that you kind of left that out the door and you filmed and ignored it? Or how did that power that film?
Yeah, so right before I shot, so every fitness program that I've ever shot, there was something going on, but this was really major for me. So right before I shot month 2 of Insanity, while I was in it, actually, well, I think it was like right before I shot it, my grandmother had died. She saved my life. So, I didn't show up, and I took the power that she gave me and the things that she instilled in me, and that's what I use to show up that day, you know? And here, I want to be very clear though. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to show emotion. But what you're saying is I'm not going to show up and be like, I need you. I'm going to show up and say, okay, what can I take from this experience that I'm going through, and how can I serve the people? And how can I understand what's happening? One of the things that I do, and I'm hoping that all of you do it, especially if it's a group class. Well, I don't do it now because it's a lot of people, but most of the time, and even now, if it's a smaller type studio or whatever, like I'm greeting you. Like you're walking in, I'm like, how are you? What's your name? What's going on? Next person. Every single, from the very beginning, but once I started getting like more into group exercise, and I realized that the motivation that they needed to show up the next week was so important from the moment, like it was like the first impression they got, and if they liked it. How are you? What's your name? Any goals you need? No, you cool, you just want to have fun? Great. How are you? Everyone. Yeah. And then what that did for me, it helped me understand what they need. Now, and this is going to be really weird for some people, but people who believe in energy, you're going to vibe with me for a second. Now I walk into a room, it could be 5,000. I've taught 20,000 people at once before. It could be 200, it can be 5, it could be 1. And I know what they need because I just literally walk on the stage and I open up my heart. If you know, sometimes I walk on stage and I stand there and I'm like, I know it's so weird for some people to understand, but I'm like, I know exactly what they need. And then I want you to think about, instead of just teaching this class or whatever you teach or however you train, it's a journey. Like, I want you to write down the journey that you want to take these people on. Not we're going to do abs, then arms, cardio, and finish with, a push or whatever. I want it to be, what's the journey that you want them to take on today? And you don't have to be a preacher, like me. I like to speak, but you don't have to do that. It's like, what's the journey you want to take them on? And that way, it's like you walk on stage ready to serve. Did you always know to take people on that journey, or did you start? Because that's an experienced trainer, and you know that when you walk into that kind of class, it goes from like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to this is a life experience. Mm-hmm. Like you went to church that day. Mm. Did you always teach that way, or has that come with experience? I always taught in a journey, but I had no idea. Mm. You all do it. Everyone here, you do it. Whatever you do, you're taking people on a journey. You just have to write down what that journey is. And the best time to write it down and to reflect on it is at the end. I'm telling you, if you have a journal or however you think, maybe you think, or a voice memo on your phone, the minute you finish a training session or a group session or whatever it is that you do, I'm telling you, if you write down the journey, the next class that you teach or the next time you take people on a journey, even if you do like streaming workouts, is going to be so sick. Because you're like, yo, they did this, I felt this is what I want them to feel. And it's like these keywords that you give people as they go they're coming back, So you say that when you're on that stage in the front of the classroom, right? That stage could be a session, a one-on-one session. You know what they need, even if it's a room full of people. Do you still feel vulnerable with what you're teaching, or are you so sure of what you're doing that there's just like no doubt in your mind? Okay, so there's a 2-part question. All right, I have to tell you a story before I answer this question so you all understand me. So for so long in my life, like my husband would be like, oh my God, you look so good today. And I'm like, oh no, like you said, throw away compliments. Now before we go out, wherever we're going, or if we're at going to the pool or something, he's like, you look good. I'm like, I know. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know that too? Took me a while to get there. It's funny. It took me a while to get there. And I say that funny, but now I am so nervous before I go on stage. Like this happens, I swear to you guys, every single time before I go on stage. Every time. Every single time. I'll wake up that morning and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I swear to you. To the point where 3 weeks ago, Scott actually called me out. He's like, every time before, you have something big coming up, you get like a bad attitude. And I was like, I do? He's like, yeah. And I tried to throw it away. I was like trying to throw it away. And I was like, I think it's not insecurity, but it is the vulnerability like coming up, because I need to let you guys know something about me. Like I'm such an emotional person, and I don't like throwing the emotions out the window. Yeah. Like I like using them so hard. Because in relationships, some people are very logical. They're like, this is the logical thinking, and some people are really emotional. And so Scott is a very logical thinker, and I'm a very emotional person. Like I want to hug. That's why I'm like, Nick, you got to tell him I can't hug you today, right? I want to hug. I want to feel. And so it's about combining that. So before I go on stage, I'm like this. If you ever watch me, first of all, I pray to my grandfather and grandmother because they motivate me. And most of the time I'm like this, like, oh my God. Like right before I'm about to run a race, it is terrible. Even when you introduce me in New York City, right? Like when I walk out on stage, I can't feel my legs. Like I feel like I'm getting the cotton every single time. I've been teaching for almost 23 years, every single time.
Keone in our network said one time, whenever he stops feeling that, that's the day that he knows he needs to stop.
And that's how I was gonna finish. Like if I don't feel that, like I'm just like, I'm out. Yeah. Like I'm completely out. And I always feel like I'm gonna wake up that day and I'm like, I got this. And I'm like, fuck, man.
Do you feel that way even when there are so what's the difference? I think everyone watching definitely impacts people every week. It could be, one session, it could be 100 people in your class, it could be 1,000. You've impacted millions. I mean, safe to say that everyone over 30 has done your workout.
Because their DVD got scratched, right? And we don't give refunds.
That is so wild to think about, that you've had that kind of, what's the difference? Like, what is different about, touching one person or teaching 10 people, to teaching millions?
Nothing. So here's the thing. When I got my contract for Hip Hop Abs that day, I went to that same agency that hired me from across the country, and they were like, infomercials don't work. They got 0% of my money for the last 15 years because they told me infomercials don't work. They're like, we'll look over it, but these things normally don't work. When I tell you I was devastated, I'm like, Mariah Carey hired me off of my abs. Like, what do you mean you don't believe in me? Like, this is what I'm going through. I know it sounds crazy, but it's very true. I'll tell you that story later. But I'm like, I dance all the time. I got booked for West Side Story and they didn't even see me dance. Like, this is what I'm going through in my head. I'm like, you guys don't believe in me, But I think simultaneously, I needed them to say that because I was a really successful professional dancer. Like I moved there, I started working right away. But it gave me the biggest lesson ever. Because I wouldn't say, I was never cocky, but I was definitely super confident when I would walk into an audition. But this like leveled me. And so when I walked out of the office, I had my contract in my hand. They looked it over. And I still remember I was walking down the steps and I said, if I change one person's life, this was worth it. So for me, it's always one person. One of the things that I hate to use the word hate, but I despise so much is when someone says like, I know you hear this all the time. I'm like, but I never heard it from you. And when I'm on stage in front of 10,000, 5,000, the reason why I'm able to connect to that energy is because it's one person. Like I never compare people to other people. To me, it's not about defining abs and arms. It's about how you define your life. Like, where do you want to go next? Where do you want to go next? Because that's how we're going to get through the workout. Like, yeah, some people have good genetics. Some people don't. Some people have good legs. Some people have skinny legs. Some people get big biceps. Some people don't, so not all of us no one's going to look perfect, first of all. And even if you think they look perfect, they have an insecurity about their body. So for me, it's always about one person, like one single person every single time. I teach, and there are people in here that can vouch for this. I teach one or two people just like I teach 20,000 people. I teach the same exact way, the same exact energy. I go crazy on the same exact music parts. Literally. There's no difference between me teaching one person. And to this day, and this is the last thing I'll say. I know you have something else. To this day, 3 times a week, sometimes 4, I will interrupt my team at my transformation center because I just created a workout. I'm like, y'all got to come do this. And they're like, oh, fuck. I'm not teaching it to anybody. It's not going on Instagram. It's not going on TV. It's just because I'm practicing my craft because I need to continue to talk to people. I call my friends over. I still teach at least 4 times a week. And I'm not talking about an event. I still do it. I still practice it. It's so fun. I have my whiteboard in my transformation center, and then I call my one friend over. I'll call them my people that work with my friend, but I call one of my employees over, and I'm like, okay, write it down. It's like 2 sides to the board. This is what I want the playlist to look like. He puts the playlist together right in front of me. I give Scott 30 minutes. He's like, I'm 48. I got to stretch. I'm like, you got 30 minutes. We take our pre-workout. Even in my own space to this day, I still practice teaching because I love it so much. And I put the camera up there and I still cut up. I go up to the camera. You would think that it was being filmed. And I go up to the camera. I'm like, come on. I love it.
I want to dive into that more, but I want to acknowledge your last answer because to me, that's the most important thing that you've said in these few hours. I fortunately get to speak to hundreds of fitness professionals, and I think the one thing that everyone has in common is that they're so passionate about impact, the impact that they're having on the people that they work with. And I think that's our fuel as an industry, and that's such a beautiful, pure thing. And sometimes that gets blurry, and I think that there's a lot of pressure on our professionals to just be so much. And with social media, you spoke about not comparing yourself. There's a lot of pressure about, what are other people doing and how many followers do they have.
Can I do something real quick? I hate to cut you off. Please. Does everyone have a pen and a paper? And no? No?
We'll email it out.
Damn it. Okay, never mind. We'll do it next time.
Okay.
I have this thing I like to do to help people create a fitness program right away, but we'll do that next time.
Oh.
No,
yeah,
you can't. You have to draw. Oh. You have to draw. Don't worry, there'll be time. Do it again.
Everyone's going to go buy a notebook right now.
I know, back. But there's like this, because some people think they're not creative. They think they're not creative.
Well, I think what's so important about what you said.
Go ahead. No, you have to, it's about what you draw. It's a way for you to, we could create, you sitting where you are, can create a fitness program right now and then test it.
Let's just get everyone a piece of paper while we do that.
Okay.
It's so important that people understand the value of the one session, or when one person comes to your class and it's not sold out, that soul and the fact, I feel like we have less and less time in our hands, right? As human beings, we still have 24 hours a day, but now we're doing 58 things that don't fit in a day. And the fact that a person chooses to come to you every day for an hour, that hour is 5 hours in 2020.
Yeah.
Right? It's the fact that someone's investing that time in you, the impact that you're having is just so magical. So I'm so glad that was your answer. While they distribute, I think the last,
if I get a pen.
The last question I'll ask you before that is, one of your truth bombs is change your input to change your output. And you just spoke about you still put workouts together. You still practice every single week. You told me 3 times a week you're putting a new workout together. That is, what are some, this is one of the most knowledge thirsty communities that I've ever been a part of. People are just so excited to learn and be better, and it's just a never-ending quest, but a genuine, quest to be better. What are some inputs that trainers can just take in and fill themselves?
Inputs. I think the first thing is just listen. Stop thinking when you're listening. That's the thing. It's when you're when you're talking to someone, it's stop trying to come up with the answer before you hear the entire question. Like I literally am like, I've definitely had to train myself to do that because you start the process and we naturally judge things. So for me, it's very much like, listen. Because if you listen to the entire thing, then you're going to input something really good. When you cut the other person off, the input just becomes half of what you know. And then, but that goes back to what you're saying to yourself as well. Like listen to your whole self. And then here's the answer to your question. What are the facts? What are the facts? Because if you know the facts of what you're getting, then your output is going to be much stronger. It's like, I know our justice system is kind of jacked up if you believe in that, but that's why only certain things can go into the court of law. It's like only like, give me the facts. Don't give me the he said, she said, give me the facts. So if you think about, if you're learning something, if you're reflecting on your past, if you're doing some sort of training, it's always like, what are the actual facts of what's happening? And if you connect to the facts, then your input is going to be so much power. It's only going to be fuel for you to output something. So, and then it's, you've all heard this before. I'm sure I talk about it in my book. You're like, you are the average of the 5 closest people to you, truly. If you, Nick, myself, Alex, whomever, if we're hanging out and you're always coming with gossip, and then someone else starts to feed on that, then we're gonna spend 10 minutes talking about something that don't matter. So when people start gossiping, and I had to do this with my own team, I was like, yo, we got to stop that. Instead of coming to me about what you don't know, just give me the facts. And even when even if someone comes to me, I do a mentorship program with people. And when they come to me, like, I listen for the facts. And I'm like, okay, so here's what we know. Because if you let the wrong things in, then it just becomes, it's like putting 1 drop of black dye into water. Right? So you want to keep your mind very clear with what you're inputting into your life. Okay, are we ready?
No, one more question.
Okay.
Sorry. I forgot this
I'm
one.
so excited to help you guys create your new fitness program.
What percent do you think are Fit Pros body experts versus mind experts?
I don't think there's a percentage. I think that we all have the possibility to be 100% of both. And the reason why it's hard to say a percentage is because there are people out there who are totally body focused, but they're not really connecting to the fact that they're also enhancing someone's mindset as well. The ones who are into mindset, I believe they know that movement is going to change your physique, right? But even if you take someone in a physique competition, let's just take that, where the reward is their body. If you interview them, the motivation behind how it is they get there, I would never do that. I'm like, I was 4.1% body fat once, and I'm like, I am never doing that again. That is a nightmare for my entire soul. I need donuts every Friday. But, so I believe that some people, if they only focus on body, you're missing out. You're not aware, you're not connecting to the other side. So
okay, let's create a workout with Shaun T.
Okay, first thing you're gonna do is draw a shape, any shape. If you don't want to create a workout, you can just listen.
Oh, I'm doing it.
Okay. Under that shape, I want you to give me 2 numbers. Why are you laughing? Somebody's giggling. Okay. So you just gave me 2 numbers, right? Okay. Under that, give me 2 numbers. Give me 2 numbers that make 1 number. So these were 2 different numbers. Give me like something like 11 or 45 or something like that. A 2-digit number. Thank you. Oh, the shade. Just kidding. Now, what I want you to do is draw. This is going to be really, really, really weird. Draw some stick figures. This is so weird, but it's great. Now, the next thing I want you to draw under the stick figures is an object. Any object on the entire planet. I know. Now, give me another 1-digit number. Okay, are you ready? Take, what's that? Okay. Take these 2 numbers under here and put them on each line, like side of, so like with this, you drew a triangle. So you can put a 2 and a 7 and a 2, right? So if you drew a rectangle, you could put 2, 7, 2, 7, like take those 2 numbers and put them on the sides of your shape. What if you did a circle? Great. Just put 1 number in the middle. Either one of the 2 numbers. Okay, now you got that 2-digit number, which is perfect. How many people did you put there? Okay. 5. Perfect. Got it. 6. You're going to get fucked up. Okay, cool. So just write a number next to the people, 6, or whatever, how many people you did. What was the object? Now, yell out some of your objects. Okay. Next to your object, write down a word that it represents.
Love.
Okay, cool. Love.
Oh, I thought you were asking me.
No, you have to write it down.
I got excited about mine.
Okay. You got all that? Right? Okay, so here's where it gets a little tough for me to explain, because this is how I create a new workout. So I take this. If there's 3 sides, so what I know is that there's going to be 3 movements in this. So if you drew an octagon, there's 8 movements. If you drew a circle with that number in the middle, it's going to be hell on earth for you. So I'm going to take yours. Give me your pen. All right, so if I do a triangle, a triangle, right? So what I can do is I can do like this amazing kind of pyramid workout. So I can take the 2, let's do 2, 7, and 2 right here. I'm going to erase this 7. So 2, 7, and 2. So I'm going to do 2. Let me think about this. Sorry. I'm going to do 2 reps. Not 2 reps. I'm going to do 2 rounds 7 times, and then I'm going to do it twice. So my pyramid is just going to go up and down. I'm going to do up 1, 7, 1, 2, 1, 7, 1, 2. Then I'm going to do an 18-second rest. And I do it again, 18-second rest in between your rounds. And then I'm going to do, this is going to be hell. You have to do the entire workout 3 times. So you put heart in its love. So that means for you, your main focus is like heart pumping. It's like it's cardiovascular. Give me another object. Star. So a star can represent like height, jumping, right? So it's all about how you interpret this. And then you put 3. So if you wanted to create a program, it's like this is a 3-month program that you can create. Basically, it's a blueprint to how you can create your next program. So the object, let's say somebody put a building, it's bricks, it's powerful. It could be a weight program, right? Let's say you put a pole, it could be a pole dancing program, or it could be a workout program in the gym where you lift. Give me another like object. A basketball, like some plyometrics, right? Plyometric movements. Or Sim, give me another shape. Hey, but we don't want that. No, I'm kidding. Stop sign can represent like isometric, right? It can isometric hold. What else does somebody have? I had an ice cream cone. You had an ice cream cone?
I wrote childhood.
A workout for kids.
Outside in the cold.
Oh, so who wrote outside in the cold? Read me your entire thing.
No, I was going over.
For ice cream.
Oh.
Ice cream's cold.
Oh. So here's what I want you to
charging for these.
I want you to think about this, right? I want you to think about this for a second. Read me your entire thing, because you just gave me an idea. Read me your entire thing.
So I got
Shape.
a circle.
You got a circle. Perfect.
I put 4 in the middle.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
What do you want next?
The two numbers. Yeah.
4 and 7.
47.
4 and 7. Okay, go ahead.
The next number was 47. Clearly, it's my lucky number.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, and then you had
The stick figures?
6. Okay, cool. And then you had the ice cream cone. And then what was your final number?
6.
The final number was 6 too, under there. So the thing I got for you, and it's so this is how my brain works. Like basically, if we had time, I would talk to all of you guys and like help you get through this, like what you created on here. But you gave me a good idea when you said outside. Like next winter, you could literally create, you know, they have Tough Mudders, Spartan races, all these mud runs. You can create some sick ass like New York City outdoor freezing kind of workout that takes the, I'm being serious. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just a way for you to start to process, like, how am I going to create things? There's another thing that I do where I just throw things out there and I have people write down, like you'll draw a picture and then you'll write down what that picture represents and then what that picture represents, and I'll turn it into a client and what that client needs, right? So this might seem like a little strange, but it requires a one-on-one kind of personal thing with me. And I literally help you create a program, and then we find a passion that you have behind that. So while this may be really strange for you, I want you to keep this. And from the things that the numbers and the shapes that you created, try to create a program and test it on people. Just test them. One of my favorite, I like you had the triangle because I love pyramid style workouts. Like I have this workout that is waiting in the wings. Like I'm just like, oh my gosh, like I really want to develop this workout, but I have a contract with Beachbody, so I can't do it unless I'm allowed to do it with them. But I have like 3 workouts waiting in the wings, right? And it's really from doing stuff like this and every day waking up and training my team. And the most important point of this exercise is I want you all to practice your creativity. I know we got to go, right? Speed round Q&A. So you have to ask your question really fast, and I have to answer really fast because I'm long-winded. Sorry.
Hi, I'm Jeanette. So I know that you're really big into self-awareness, life
2-digit number. Sorry, go ahead. I'm kidding.
2-digit
Okay.
number. So speak to us as if we already are there. We're self-aware, we're self-developed, and speak to us as self-developed fitness professionals. What is your best advice in a crowded physical and digital fitness space?
Run through the finish line. Because the way, and I'm speaking to you, but sometimes we think when we're there, and there is only a trampoline that should catapult you into the next level. I could say the same thing. I'm self-aware, but every single day, I'm still creating something else. I'm still exercising my brain. So like, do you have something more, like what is it specific to you that you feel you need to push forward?
Oh, it's an actual question.
Oh, no, that's an actual question.
I've always been split between acting and fitness, and I recently just dove into fitness as my number one. And now I'm getting all the certs and really just embracing all that I have, all the passion and that I have for fitness.
Okay. With so much respect, the way you answered that question was said that what if you have all of these things? If you were splitting it and you just got certified and you just found your passion, then you are in the perfect spot. You're not there. Like, you have to decide what it is that you want. Like, what do you want to feel every day? And like, how do you want to feel in this space, right? Because that's what you're going to gravitate to. Because there's also the opposite side of having too much, you know? Like, if you're certified in this, if you're teaching all of these things, like find one thing while you're going through this space that really you really connect to and really like make that blossom. You don't have to get rid of everything else, but make something blossom. Does that make sense?
For like what dance was for you?
Yeah, maybe what acting was for you.
Well, that's something that I left behind.
But there's something that was there that made you keep doing it in the first place. See, that's what I was saying before. Like life is about reaching back. Like what did you learn from that you can take to this space? I know it's a
You
lot.
just made that very complex.
I know.
I wanted like bullet points.
But
thank you.
You are the bullet point.
Next question.
She's like, I feel like I'm on the spot. And the only reason why I say that is because the way you formulated the question, you were like, what if you have all that? What if you are self-aware? What if you are this space in the fitness space? And I'm like, but you're not. Like you're in almost the best space because you were splitting fitness with something else. So that means it wasn't 100%. So now you're trying to figure out what 100% is. So that's what you need to figure out. What is 100% to you? We need a one-on-one, me and you. Yes, sir.
Hey, my name is Fred. Thanks for the time
What's
here.
up, Fred?
Hey, what's up, man? This has been great. Question. So a lot of us like to set goals and a vision for where we want to be 5 years, 10 years from now. Wondering the 19-year-old Shaun T, when you first started to get into fitness and you realized this is what my love was, where did you see yourself in the next 15 to 20 years? It couldn't have been here, but what did you say you wanted to be?
Yeah, so while goals are important, the everyday is more important. Like, what do I want to do today? Like, what do I want to do today? What do I want to do tomorrow? Like, how do I want to take this? Like, one of the things I have people practice is when you finish today, when you go to bed today, right before you go to bed, write down what was the best part of my day today and how am I going to take that into tomorrow? Because if you don't practice the step-by-step, it's just not going to be there. Now, I will say that the first time that I taught a class, I said, not as a full-time thing, I said, I want my own dance workouts, right? Because that inspired me. So what did I do? Every single day, I danced. I danced every single day of my life if I wasn't like sick or something. Up until that day and beyond that I got hip hop abs, I danced every single day. Now, I'm not saying that 19-year-old Shaun knew that that's what I was supposed to do, but today I'm able to tell you, if you have that goal, practice the goal. Consistency over time equals results, period.
Thank you.
I have so many more questions back, but I don't have time.
So good.
I have three
Hi.
quick ones.
I'm Michaela. Do you have like a routine when you're trying to get into a space to create? Like, how do you protect that creativity time to create something new?
Okay, great. So I can talk in today's time, but my personal fitness space, I have dumbbells, I have some steps. I keep it very open. So for me, even my house, because I love creativity, my entire house is gray, like a nice gray. But each room has like accent colors. Like one room is purple, one room has, well, 2 rooms are purple. So 3 rooms are kind of purple. That's because my husband loves purple. But the best way to create, honestly, is where you can create a space for yourself. But sometimes it's just a room with nothing. Like, what can I do with me? And then the next time you go in that space, you're like, I'm going to take a kettlebell. I'm going to take a dumbbell. I'm going to take a step. I'm going to take a band, right? Create from zero. No painter has ever gotten paid $1 million for a painting that was for a piece of canvas that was half drawn on or painted on already. It was a blank canvas. Starting in a blank room, I'm telling you, your mind has so many things inside of it. And sometimes you'll just stand there and feel stuck, but something's percolating inside. Okay?
Thank you.
Oh, who was that? I was talking to you. Somebody behind you. I didn't see you.
Well,
You're welcome. Okay, 2 more, quick.
2 more.
Hey, how you doing, Shaun?
What's up,
So I have a
Jason?
question, right? So I'm 21 years old and I'm still in school, whatever. I teach boot camp classes in the morning, but I'm still like trying to figure out like what would be like some advice you would give for someone young, like trying to come up to like try to really like, be great in fitness industry.
Well, 2 things. You have to produce your greatness every day. So know what you're great at, and that's not being conceited or boastful. It's like, what am I great at? It might not be necessarily teaching. It might be your consistency. It might be your development. It might be your ability to connect with your people. So that's first and foremost. And then what else do you teach?
I also teach kids basketball. I run basketball clinics on the weekend for little kids, and I try to have like sports agility program for kids. So I'm also like, I'm like on both with kids and also adults, because I feel like my mission, like my true mission and like my vision is like pretty much like helping the kids grow up so they can really understand how the world is, like with hard work, pushing through and never giving up, because like life is not easy, you know. And you got to learn like in life when you out here, like people, it's hard, it's not easy. So when they grow up, like my vision is for them to grow up, then eventually they'll have kids and like grow them up the same way to learn how life really is, and eventually just be a pattern. And you know, that's my mission for the world, to just be like a better place.
So keep doing that with the kids, but the way so take that from the kids, what you learn from the kids, and put it into your boot camp class. Is your boot camp class developed as, this is 30 days, here's how many, are the people consistent? Do you set it up in like, we're going on a journey here, or is it just show up to the class?
Yeah, it's like a schedule. So it's like Monday, upper body, Wednesday, cardio.
Right. So obviously that's fine to do that. But for your people who come every day, you know, I call them the front row divas. You know, for people who come every day, all you got to do is take a calendar that you print out, be like, all right, we're going on a 30-day journey together. So you want these kids to grow, right? You're learning from these kids. How am I going to produce these kids into something great? Do the same thing with the adults. And what that's going to help you is going to help you create more. It's going to help you create, because you're going to have to change things up, because they're going to be expecting something different. They're going to start asking questions. What can I expect on day 30, right? So don't just show up and teach. Create a program as you're teaching and save the before and after photos, please.
Appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Last question.
I'll piggyback on that.
Okay.
So my name is Dean.
What's up, Dean?
And what do you think in our industry now, because you tapped on that connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking, or my question lies where, what do you think lacks in our industry right now? Fitness professionals, people who've been in the game a while, what do you think? Because you said you take berries, you go and support, you see what's out there. My question is, what do you think is missing?
I think that, I don't know if this is necessarily missing, but that's why I do that. Like, because I want people to know that just because I'm Shaun T doesn't mean I can't support someone else. That's what I was talking about. It's like, I go to my friend Garrett's class here, and I had an event here, and the next day his class was full with people that went there, and now some people go to his class. I think what's missing is just the opportunity for us to really support each other in a really great way, because what we don't understand is, like, if I'm sending somebody, and I know business owners don't necessarily like this, but if I'm sending someone to your class and you're sending someone to my class, and I'm kind of working my way through, then why aren't we going to develop something together? Because 2 is better than 1, right? And so I take your idea and I take my idea, and I'm like, let's roll. I say if I wasn't with Beachbody, I love being with Beachbody. I love the community. I love all that. But if I wasn't, I would be like, talent hack, like, give me 3 people, which I don't know if I'm allowed to say this,
anyway.
but
Yeah.
I talked to them, and I don't know if am supposed to say something about this. I can say. So what I want to do this summer is, I want to.
This is literally the coolest thing I've ever heard of.
And I'm hoping that something's happened around the time that I do this. But I really want to offer an internship for someone in Talent Hack to come, like, spend a week or 2 out at the Transformation Center with me and my team, so you can, like, either help me develop a new program if that happens, or develop, like, some of my events and go through. So we're really trying to work with Talent Hack to get at least one of you out there. I'll take more, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But it's paid, so I gotta make sure I can afford you. Because that's the last thing, like, you can do things for less, but try not to do things for free as a fitness professional. And I know some people may disagree with me, but you are like the first defense to people's, like, health, their mental health. So try not to do things for free. And if you do one thing for free, have something set up that person's going to pay you the next time, and have that next time set up, because your time is valuable, because it's more than just exercise. It's your life.
Drop the mic.
I would never ask somebody to do something for me for free. I just think that
Yeah,
this is crazy.
that's what we preach all day. I don't know. Thank you does not begin to describe. Thanks for coming to New York during coronavirus. Thanks for jumping on a plane yesterday to come talk to us. Thank you for the million nuggets of wisdom and knowledge that you left us with. You are so authentic. I just can't get over how real you are and how I think that my biggest takeaway from this, and I'm so inspired to just go get to work. You know, I'm not inspired to like go be something big. I'm inspired to work. And that is the fact that you make people feel that way is just so impactful and impressive. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the
here
kind
today.
words. Thank you all for coming. I will say,
Shaun T.
Last thing, Nick. Last thing, I'll say, I'm really happy to be partnering with you guys and just be an ear or whatever I can do to help and support. Because it was, for the longest time, I felt a little disconnected from the fitness space because people don't really know my story and where I came from and how hard it was to get to where I am.
Yeah.
But I'm here now and I would love to support.
We're so lucky.
Be an
We
ear
really
or a voice for you guys if you need it. So
Woohoo!
thank you. Thank you. And thank you.